If you've ever tried to get lean and felt overwhelmed with information or like nothing works, you're not alone. I've been making fitness content for 2 years, and after having thousands of conversations with guys who want to get lean but haven't been able to, I've noticed a pattern. If you're watching this, you probably fall into one of the same three situations they did. Either you're a complete beginner and you're not sure where to start, or you've been lifting on and off but you're not happy with what you see in the mirror. Or you're overwhelmed by all the information online like I was, and you're not sure what to actually do to lose some fat while you still build muscle. Each of those guys all sound like they're in a different situation, but I've realized that all three deal with the same problem. They're confused, frustrated with their progress, and know they have more potential than they're seeing right now. If you can relate to any of that, this video is going to change everything for you. I've helped one of my followers who was in the same spot as you and took him from 20% body fat at 5'10", 200 pounds, and within 6 months had gotten him under 10%. Without losing muscle. The thing is, he did it without starving himself, without burning out, and he still lived a normal life, balancing his job, his social life, and finishing his last year of school. Meet Lachlan, who like most guys had fallen into the classic trap of thinking he had a dirty bulk to put on size. But after more than a year of this, he looked in the mirror and felt like he wasn't even building much muscle. His energy was low, his face was puffy, and when he came to me on our first call, I remember him saying that he didn't think he'd ever be able to see his abs again. I asked him what he planned to do, and he said he'd been trying to eat healthier in a big calorie deficit, but he would stick to it for a few weeks, go out on a weekend, and bounce right back to where he started. It wasn't the fact that he had bad genetics or he wasn't a hardworking guy, and he had the motivation to get lean. He was just missing one thing, an actual system that he could plug into his life to finally make progress. And that's why 99% of guys never get the lean look they want. They get caught in this trap of bulking, putting on a ton of excess fat, and then their metabolism crashes because they've been eating tons of processed food, not moving, or getting enough exercise. The truth me and Lachlan had to realize was that at a certain point, when you get past 15, 20% body fat, you just don't build muscle effectively, and trying extreme diets or constantly switching programs like you see online will never allow you to be consistent enough to get results that last for life. And that's the goal with this video. I'm going to give you the 3 phases you need to go through to fix your metabolism, finally see your abs, and then keep them for life. The first thing I noticed when we started working together was the same thing I see with almost everyone who struggles to lose fat. He would go all in for a few days, then fall off, then go all in again, then fall off again. One week he was eating super clean and doing his cardio, and the next week he wasn't tracking anything. And that cycle right there is what keeps most guys stuck at 20% body fat. Because fat loss doesn't happen when you try some extreme program for a week. It comes from doing the same simple thing every day for months. So the first thing we did was build him a structure. We set wake up times, built him a meal plan around his schedule, figured out what time he was going to train and on what days he had work, and put it all into my training app so he could track it and stay accountable. Now, this is what happened after that first month. Nothing huge physically, but he lost about 12 pounds. The thing is, what we did during that time was build his foundation. So when we implemented the full fat loss system, his progress was going to explode. We fixed his metabolism by switching to whole foods, eating 4 to 5 times a day, and fueling his training with carbs. We found his maintenance of 3,000 by multiplying his body weight times 15. And then we dropped around 300 calories, aiming for 8,000 steps a day with 20 minutes of cardio on the treadmill after his workouts. None of this was that hard, but because he knew exactly what to do every day and it was all in one place, he just executed and his body started changing. After that initial 6 weeks, we had built his foundation and his body was burning through food and he was just looking a lot healthier. I call this now the sculpting phase because our metabolism is fixed and we can start making changes that actually have a really big impact. First, we brought down his fats, which took away about 200 calories. You have to make sure you don't go under 50 grams of fat though, because this will start killing your hormones and just make it harder to lose weight. Pulling from fats at the start is the highest leverage thing you can do. You can take away a bunch of calories without changing the amount of food you eat by that much. Then, when his progress hit a plateau after 2 weeks, we bumped his cardio to 30 minutes and he started doing it in the mornings fasted. This allowed him to tap directly into his fat stores and helped him put his body in a fat burning state first thing in the morning, and then again later after his workout. Now his body was burning through food, his workouts were still intense, and he was losing a ton of fat without feeling like he was really starving. At this point, we had lost about 20 pounds and his abs really started to come in. So when that next week hit and we didn't lose the 2 to 3 pounds we wanted, we dropped another 250 calories, mostly taken away from his carbs. This brought us down to the 90-day mark, which got us a result like this. He had gone from roughly 20 to 25% body fat down to around 14%, and his abs really started to show. In good lighting, he looked sick, and you probably see this transformation and think, damn, I would love to get a result like that. But after only 3 months, he knew he had way more potential, so he came to me and said he wanted to get to single-digit body fat. This is where we ended the sculpting phase and started what I call the mastery phase. This is where we need to get more advanced with our strategy. We started changing his diet to what's called the carb cycling protocol, where we fueled him with 2,200 calories and lots of carbs on training days, but dropped him to about 1,800 on rest days. This tricks your body into still being able to train hard, but helps you create more of a deficit because you're not using as much energy on rest days. We dialed his training in so he was going about 4 days a week and recovering properly. And then we bumped his cardio to 40 minutes in the morning. 99% of guys would be happy to look like he did, especially after 90 days. And what we did to get him there was really simple. We fixed his metabolism, fueled his training, got him moving more and feeling better. And he did that all while studying, working, and going out with his friends. But Lachlan had fallen in love with the process and how it was making him feel. He was waking up motivated, energized, and he was just ready to push. So that's what we did. We kept him around those calories, started carb cycling, and added in more walks throughout the day. When his progress slowed down, we made changes together, getting smarter with his carbs and changing around his movement based around his schedule. And it worked, like really worked. This was his full transformation after 6 months. He'd gone from 25% body fat down to 10% and completely changed his mindset, body, and his way of thinking. The thing is, when you get this lean and have been dieting for a long time, you're eventually going to hit a wall. His energy started getting lower, he had been eating 1,600 calories, and his workout stopped hitting as hard. That's when I knew it was time to do what's called a reverse diet. This was the last phase of the program to really make sure he got a result that would last a lifetime. So he signed back up for another 6 months, and we slowly lowered the cardio, added in more carbs around his training, added in some more volume, and brought his calories back up to his maintenance bump by bump. The thing is, when you do the first part of this transformation right, your body literally becomes a machine, and 3 months after his peak cut, this is what he looked like. But he was eating 1,000 calories more and seeing progress day by day in the gym like crazy. Now we're focusing on a lean bulk with him, and he's eating around 3,000 calories, keeping his abs, and he still just lives a normal life. When you do these phases the right way and put the system into your life, you'll be able to keep making progress that lasts, and that's my goal with this channel. I want to show you that you can get lean from any starting point when you have a plan that's built for your body, your schedule, and your lifestyle. So if you want to work with me to apply this system into your life, book a call in the description below. It's not free, and I only take on a few guys at a time because of how closely I work with my guys. But if you think you could be the next transformation, I'd love to help you get it done. This week, I'm going to do another video reviewing followers' current plans and what I would change to help them see more progress. So if you want to submit any photos, training splits, and diets, check the description below to apply to be a part of that video. Talk to you guys in the next one.